everybody. I'm Delegate Ken Plum. Welcome to our show, Virginia Report. You know, back when I was first elected to office back in the late 1970s, my assistant came to me with concern because her father was diagnosed with a disease called Alzheimer's. And I said to her, what is that? Because at that point in time, in the 1970s and early 80s, people didn't know a whole lot about the disease. If you were an older person, senile, and they couldn't figure out what else was wrong with you, they decided you'd have Alzheimer's disease. Well, much advance has been made since those days, since we set up the Alzheimer's Commission. And we now know, and everybody knows, somebody who suffers from Alzheimer's, that we need to spend a few minutes talking about it tonight. My guest, I'm pleased to welcome Robin
McGlothin
with Insight Memory Care Center. Robin, what's the Insight Memory Care Center, since I can't remember between the paper and my eyes what it is.
Sure. So Insight Memory Care Center, we're an adult day health and resource center for people with any type of memory impairment. So really what we are, we're a day center. Anyone with a diagnosis of dementia is more than welcome to come to this center as long as they're a good fit for our programming. We provide also an array of services outside of just the day center care. We do a whole slew of education classes and support programs as well for family caregivers and professional caregivers.
Robin, back in the early days that I was mentioning, there were a few churches that opened their doors a day or two a week for respite care, an opportunity for caregivers to get a break.
Yeah. Because
someone who suffers from a memory disorder may decide that night is day and day is night, and you don't get any rest. Is that kind of the beginnings of what becomes your center now?
Yep. Yeah, we've been around since 1984, so about 32 years, which is incredible to think of where we came when we started. But we started out of a support group of family caregivers caring for their loved ones that had any type of dementia. And the caregivers said to the person who started the organization, said, we just need some respite, a day or two to go shopping, to get a break. And the organization started with the name Family Respite Center. At that time, we started with 3 participants in the basement of a church. And we grew and expanded a little bit within churches for a few years. And then 2004, we eventually got our own secure location in a office building and was able to really design it for people with dementia. And we were in that for about 10 years. And then we moved about a year and a half ago to our current location in Fairfax. And so where we've come from when we started to where we are now, we're in a 15,000 square foot facility, which is huge. And we have the capacity for 60 participants every day. And then we have an education and support center as well, just adjacent to the center, so that we can provide education classes and the support groups. And then also we've really increased our early stage programming for people that are in the early stage of a disease.
The name Lynn Noaes may not mean, does that mean anything to you?
Yes, it does. Our founder, yep.
Yeah, well, Lynn and I worked together on getting some of the legislation passed, because at that point in time, what could you do about this? And this commission went around the state and we had these hearings, and as I said, people were asking for respite. They were asking for an opportunity to take a break. The book I recall in those days that helped caregivers was called the 25-hour day, because it's an endless day. So we've also tried to do some things in the direction of research. We did the Alzheimer's Disease Research Award Fund that still goes on from the Office of Aging and VCU. But the ability to figure out what causes people to have dementia, what the remedies may be, that's a whole other issue. We've got the issue about, okay, they're here now, what do we do?
Exactly.
And that's what you're focusing on.
Yeah, exactly. There's Alzheimer's Association and other organizations out there that are working to find the cures and focus on the research. We are really focused all on the care and the education and support to the people that have the disease, and then also the caregivers that are taking care of them. The burden on the caregivers is huge. There was just a study done, it was a few years ago, but through Penn State on the health and stress of the caregivers, and it was directly related to family caregivers that had their loved one in day centers, and so it saw that their stress level went down the day centers, the days that their loved ones were at the day center. Which we knew, that's obvious. It's obvious, but it was nice that science sort of backed that up. And when your stress level goes down, your health can usually be improved. At least it's not decreasing. So, so the health benefits are a little bit better for the family caregivers.
Now, in the early days, the support groups and so on depended upon churches, I guess, primarily. But now it's become more complex as you've become bigger. You're a 501c3 now?
We are, yeah. We're a 501c3. We're supported through program fees for the program. Also, we get support from Fairfax County, and then different grants and private donations as well. So we are open to accepting any donations to support our center. But we do have several support groups. We have started different ones based on the need and what caregivers have come to share with us that, that they don't have access to it or whatever else. So we're able to grow and expand based on the need of the family caregivers, so that we're providing the education classes and the support that they need.
So on the one hand, you have the daycare, that is to say, folks who have dementia who are brought in a day capacity, but then the support group or the caregivers who I guess they get together, one, for educational purposes, and two, I guess, to share.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, sometimes when you're going through something really hard and you're sort of stuck at home with a spouse or a parent that has dementia, and it's really hard to go out into a public space. Sometimes you feel like you're the only one dealing with this, and you don't have the time, you don't have the resources to figure out where you should go, what's the next step. And a lot of people do not think of adult daycare at all. Most people have never even heard of adult daycare. But it can be a really, really great option for families, especially not having to have that transition into assisted living or in a nursing home if you really want your family member to stay at home with you, to delay that transition. And it can delay the costs of those long-term care costs as well. So we're able to do that. But the family caregivers, we really take into our family. A lot of them, we can talk to them every day, email with them. We're there for them as well, because we know that they're struggling on a daily basis with this. So we become their team. So we have a full-time program manager, we have a recreational therapist, we have a social worker and a nurse, all on staff outside of the rest of the care staff at the day center. So we're able to, we put care plans for each participant that comes through. We revise those quarterly, just based on, it's a progressive disease, so just revising those as things change. Things could change at the home, things could change health-wise, and so just making sure we're constantly looking at what are the best options. If it's adjusting medication, if it's adjusting different programs, activities, or maybe it is, encouraging the family member to come to a support group, an education class, or to sit down with someone on our staff that can really go through their options and look at what are those next steps, or do you need to have someone that comes into the house? Do you need to have, look at placement in a live-in facility? Those type of options we're able to help give referrals out as well.
Now, for people who are into this, they understand it, but for folks who approach this as a potential in their lives, have to understand that there are management techniques that you can employ. There are things you can do to make life easier for you and for the patient. Yes,
yeah, it's really hard. I think it's harder for family caregivers because you know what your loved one was like before, and you still expect them to behave or answer questions or do normal activities the way they had done it before. And in many cases, they can't. You have to take on, we've seen spouses who had to take on all the financial responsibility when they never did that the entire times they were married, or to taking care of all the lawn care, or it's things like that where the one spouse really becomes burdened with a lot of it. But we're able to support them through that because we can talk through it. That's where the support groups come in, where they can vent with other family members and things like that, because the space for them to share and to talk about what they're going to is sacred, and we need to make sure that they have that space, because it's a really hard time that they're going through. I've said many times with any sort of dementia, you kind of lose the person twice. Once when they sort of forget who you are as a family member, and then when they actually pass away. So it's really emotional, and it's hard to react appropriately sometimes as family caregivers, because you just want to get out the door and they're not cooperating, and you just sort of want to rush through it. We applaud a lot of the family caregivers that have tremendous patience and real true understanding, but we also support all the caregivers no matter where they are with it, because it's a daily struggle for them, because they're the ones that can no longer share those memories with their family. They're the ones that are holding it. They're not sharing them together.
I suppose a really tough part of this too, although all of it has to be a struggle and you don't know how many years this is going to go on, is when you face what looks like the inevitable, that you're not going to be able to do this anymore, meaning the support care, that you're going to have to institutionalize a person. That must take a lot of hand-holding and understanding to get through.
It is hard, and we work with our, because any transition can be really challenging for family members, and we try to ease that as much as possible. We'll have staff that can go with the family members to an assisted living and tour a few of them to see which one would be best for them, where they feel that their loved one would, fit in really well. And you have to think of geography and cost and all of that as well. But we are able to, obviously we're looking at, because we're caring for people with memory impairment, looking for centers that have skilled staff and training and facilities that are set up for people that have any type of dementia. So those are really the places that we would recommend to family members, just because they have the expertise and the knowledge of how to care for someone with dementia.
This disease, or this category of disease, however it is you create this classification, is a progressive situation. It's not that it's one day you're sane and the next day you're not.
Correct.
One day you're healthy and the next day you're not. It's a progressive thing. And how does the daycare program accommodate that? And is the daycare program appropriate for all those various stages?
Sure, yeah. So the daycare, we have, as I said, we do have earlier stage programs, but for the daycare, which is Monday through Friday, 7:30 in the morning until 5:30, it's more for people in the moderate stage all the way through to the late stage. So we really are able to accommodate anyone in any type of dementia. We can accommodate people with challenging behaviors. We're able to redirect. We have a really high staffing ratio. The state requires 1 staff member to 6 participants. We have 1 to 4 most cases, and then in our later stage programming we have 1 to 3. So we're really able to provide that personalized care that that you really need with someone with this type of dementia. So we have that, and we're also have a great schedule of activities throughout the day. We have 2 meals, breakfast and lunch, and then 2 snacks, and then we have a robust activity schedule as well. Our rec therapy department does a great job of putting together really personalized programs for our participants, looking at who we have in the group at that time and making sure that we have different activities that they'll enjoy. If someone is interested in horses or gardening or knitting, we'll make sure we have those type of activities, and if we can, have them lead it or have them participate in discussions about things that they're interested as well. So empowering them and giving them as much dignity and control over their schedule in some cases that we can. So it's a really fun environment. It's we do a lot with music, a lot with music therapy. We have a music and memory program where we use personalized playlists that the participants get based on their interests and what they care for. They get iPods and headphones that they can listen to at times when that works for them. So we really do a lot of different therapy methods on a daily basis.
Where is the Insight program? Where are you located?
So we're in Fairfax. We're off of Pender Drive, and it's kind of where 50 and 66 intersect.
Near Fair Oaks Mall.
Correct, near Fair Oaks Mall, yep. Off of Waples Mill.
Okay, so Waple Mill, so if I'm in Reston and I go out West Ox Road to Route 50 and take 50 east, Pender Drive is right at the shopping center.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so
Oh, actually, I wouldn't do that. I would actually go.
you would go east on 50, I think.
And,
I would need to look at a map.
How do I turn off then?
So if you're on 50 going west, you would take a right onto Waples Mill, and then you would take a right onto Pender Drive.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's in a corporate park.
It's in a corporate park, right?
Yeah. So
good. So it's possible if you have a family member, or if you're thinking about volunteering, to come and visit?
Yes, yeah, we love to have people to come visit. That's really I think I am a very visual person. You need to see the place, get a feel for it, have that gut reaction to see if this is something that would make sense and work for your family. But meeting the staff, all of that, get an understanding of what goes into having your loved one at the day center. You can call anytime. Our phone number is on our website, and you can call or you can just stop by if you want to have a tour. We do have, for anyone interested, doesn't have to be family members, a community member, anyone who's interested, we offer an overview and a tour of the center the second Tuesday of the month from 9 until 10. So it's just an ongoing event that we have, so that if people are interested in learning more about the services that we provide and the resources within the community, they can come to that the second Tuesday at 9.
This is a 501c3 operation. You are a nonprofit, but somebody has to pay the bills. Are there fees associated with what you do, and are there scholarships available?
Yes, and yes. Yeah, okay. So we do have fees to attend the day center. There are fees. They're monthly fees based on the number of days. All the costs are on our website. They're reasonable based on other long-term care costs and things like that. So, and then if the costs are too much for some families, we do have a scholarship program that families can apply to, and it goes to our board for approval.
Now, what about the support groups? How do you get into a support group, and is there a fee associated with it?
Sure. Nope. Support groups are totally free, and they're open, sort of rolling. You don't have, no membership or anything like that. You can just drop in if you want to. Okay. So all of our support groups, again, are listed on our website, and that you can come to them. Most of them are once a month, and you can attend. They're usually about an hour. And usually I would recommend contacting us first to let the facilitator know that you're coming. That just makes it a little bit easier, so you kind of know someone before you walk into a room of people. But yeah, people can just stop in, and it has been a really great resource. And we have had, in the past, we've had some family members, even after their loved ones have left the day center or have passed on, have maintained their connection to support groups just because of the connection they had.
Mm-hmm. The looking at the long term of the support centers, then are there support centers other than at that location, your location? So
we have one location. Yep. So we only have one. There are other day centers in the area. Mm-hmm. There's many other day centers in the area. We're the only dementia-specific one. Right. So other day centers will care for people with people that have a dementia, but they're not dementia-specific. So us being dementia-specific, all of our staff are trained in dementia heavily on an ongoing basis. So they're highly skilled on making sure that they're providing the best care.
Mm-hmm. A question that's impossible to answer, but some general notion about length of stay, and is it likely that folks are going to go into long-term care? Do most people end up in a long-term care facility?
Sure, yeah. So our average length a person would stay at our day center is about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. It varies, depends on everyone's situation. Sometimes it's temporary, just a couple months because they're trying to figure things out. Right. Sometimes it's longer because it's really working well for them. They're able to manage their loved one at home, no problem, or they can partner with home care, and it's working out really well. Mm-hmm. But when the activities of daily living become too much, that's usually what happens for the families at home. Someone's wandering too much, like you were saying before, confusing day and night. That gets just too much, especially if you have someone that's working or poor health. The stress level goes up too much, and you get worried. And so then you have to look at having someone stay at a facility that's secure and safe, and then you can look at that. And so we do have, we work with a lot of people that transfer over to those type of facilities. But we are able to also because we care for people into the later stage of the disease, we can care for them up until the end of life. It just depends on the family situation, so we can partner with hospice in our program as well. So it just depends really on the family situation, as I said.
Talk a little bit more about that, is how that you provide services to families in those later stages. Is that still just a drop-off for a day?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
it's part of the day center, so it's still the Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, and so they're able to, come for the day. The later stage programming, we're able to provide the more personalized care. We can assist with feeding, restrooms and things like that. We can do that with all the participants, but really being able to do more personalized programming. All the participants have care plans, but the participants in the late stage have their own activity schedule. So their individualized activity schedule for the day, it really does depend on what their interests are, what they're capable of doing. A lot of it is usually more sensory activity. Sometimes you lose, speaking, movement, that type of thing. So trying to heighten sensory activities.
So in that instance, can you come more than one day a week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could come 5 days a week?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We'd strongly encourage people to come
Okay.
up to 5 days a week. We have a
Okay.
minimum of 2 days,
Okay.
but we really see a lot of success when people come 5 days. I think it's just like all of us. We like routine and schedule, and we really see that people work well in that aspect.
Now, saying to the public now how it is that they could help the Insight program, what do you say? How can the general public be of help to you?
Sure. I think a lot of it is awareness, understanding who we are, and that our services are available so that families know about us beforehand. We get a lot of families that come to us too late or, in crisis and say, I wish we heard about you 3 months or 6 months ago. So just being more of, the common name in the community, that would be wonderful, so more people knew about us. And we're doing a lot, being here today, and we're doing a lot more marketing to be able to do that. But then above that, we also ask, if anyone wants to support us financially, we're open for that. We have an annual event in the fall, which is a really fun fundraising event. And then we also have volunteer opportunities for families to, or individuals to volunteer with us.
Tell us about your event.
Sure. Our Paintings and Pairings event will be October.
Say it again.
Paintings and Pairings.
Oh,
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Paintings and Pairings. It's our fall event. So we've been doing a fall event for several years, and so it's October 27th, and in Fairview Park Marriott, and so we're excited. This year we have David Culver from NBC News will be our MC, and we'll do live and silent auction. We'll also have different program highlights throughout from this past year to share. So it is a great event, a lot of fun. We try to have really good food, some just a nice environment for families to come and community members to come to celebrate all the work that has happened over the past year.
You have a professional staff, but do you also use volunteers in the program itself?
We do, yeah, we do. The 1-to-4 ratio is all of our paid staff, and most of them are CNAs or activity staff. And so then we have volunteers and interns that we work with. So volunteers can range from, students to retirees. We get, every volunteer is different and brings different skills, and we really try to have the experience be what they want, and then also make sure that it can fit to what the center needs as far as support. And then we have internship opportunities. So we do work with a lot of rec therapy interns, some social work interns, and nursing interns. Those are sort of the most popular.
Good. Robin, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for telling us about your program.
Sure. Thank you so much.
It's Insight. It's in the Pender Drive area of Fair Oaks Mall, serving people who need specialized care, support, and education, who have Alzheimer's disease or other mental impairments. If you know families who could be of use of the service, make sure that they know about it. And if you want to volunteer, check out the website of how you can do that. Thanks for being with us on Virginia Report. Hope you join us next time. So long.